Hi, welcome to day number 4 with Walking with Jesus and 21 Days with Jesus. We want to see what Jesus has been doing in the Gospel of John. Whether you have been a follower of Jesus for a long time or maybe you're just investigating who Jesus is, the Gospel of John is a great book in the Bible to discover who he is. In fact, that's what we've been looking at for the first 3 chapters. And now in John chapter 4, Jesus encounters somebody. I don't know if you've ever been in a situation where you've been surrounded by maybe people that you didn't trust, people that you weren't sure of. I know sometimes I've been in a big city, or I've been in an environment or an office, or sometimes in a park, and you kind of look around and it's a little sketchy or a little dangerous, and you just want to get out of there as soon as you can. Well, it finds out that Jesus on purpose encountered people so that he could show his care and compassion to them. And in John chapter 4, Jesus goes into a city, and it's actually a city that Jews didn't typically go to. And he went there and he sat down at a well to get some water, and he met this woman had some problems, and Jesus entered into a conversation with her. And if you not understanding the times, it wasn't appropriate for a man to talk to a woman. It wasn't appropriate for a Jew to talk to a Samaritan, but Jesus cared about her, and Jesus entered into a conversation, and Jesus turned that conversation about water into something that's eternal. He said, what about living water? You're going to get thirsty after drinking this water. I can give you living water. You'll never thirst again. And that ended up having a great conversation out of the curiosity about relationship with God, about all kinds of things that were going on in her life. Jesus kind of exposed her just a little bit by letting her know that he knew that she had had 5 husbands, and she was living with somebody that she wasn't married to. And I don't know about you, but if somebody began to open up about that, I would just kind of shrink down just a little bit. But Jesus loved her and cared for her in spite of the fact that she didn't measure up. And he entered into that conversation. And as they did that, Jesus explained, I'm the one that can give you living water. And she accepted Jesus Christ as her Lord and Savior. We would term it that she became a Christian. And she went and told everybody that here's a guy that told me everything I did, and he still loves me. Sometimes we get this idea about Jesus and holiness, and holiness is right. God still wants us to do the right things, but when we do the wrong things, God still loves us. In fact, as we begin and we finish out this chapter, we find out Jesus encountered another man that had a sick son. He was grieving over his son, and Jesus entered into a conversation about that. He cared about him and the fact that he had a son that was sick, and Jesus healed his son. We find in John chapter 4 the heart of Jesus for people who are far from God, and he loves them, and he cares for them, and he wants to give them what they need. A song I recently was reminded of back a few years ago, I still haven't found what I'm looking for. I think there's a lot of people in our world that are looking for something. There's a thirst deep inside that they just haven't found that satisfaction. They haven't found what they're looking for. I think some people don't even know really what they're looking for, but they know they haven't found it. My discovery is it's in Jesus Christ. Whether it's the woman at the well that had tried in relationships and now she found it in Jesus, or whether it was a man who was disappointed in the situation that was in his family and was hurting because his family was hurting, Jesus came to both of them and gave them what they needed. That's who Jesus is. And so take some time today. Read John chapter 4. If you have any questions or thoughts, shoot them out to me, or find somebody that you can share what your ideas are about John chapter 4 as you discover Jesus and the woman at the well, and Jesus with the man who